Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Why the hate on successful black men? I just want to give a shout out to one of my commenters, Kenny Mack, for suggesting this topic. Oh man, why the hate? You know what? Honestly, I'm going to come at it differently because I know some people would say, well, they sellouts or they coons or, all that bullshit, right? But it's actually deeper than that. And it's not something even specific to successful black men. It really isn't. This is something a successful man of, European heritage could face, of Asian heritage, of Latin heritage. The best hunter in one of our few indigenous cultures could face this thing. And basically, you have two basic factors, and this is a human thing, just to be clear. I know the original topic or title was successful black men, but anybody could see this, and this goes across the board. The first reason is really just plain jealousy. Understand something, and I can't remember where I first saw this quote, but I've seen it quite a few times, and it was in one of those success books, right? And it was talking about 100 men, right? And you could substitute 100 men and women, 100 people, whatever term you comfortable with. But this specific quote was talking about 100 men. And the quote in general, and I'm paraphrasing because it's not right in front of me, and somebody might have the original quote and, drop it in the description. In the comments. But it said if you had 100 men, and I forgot what age they say, you start them off at 25. By the time they reach 65, they said one of those men will be independently wealthy. The four of those men would be, well off. They might not be wealthy, but they independent. And then the other 95 will be broke or struggling. Most people are not going to succeed. Most people will not live a life that's fulfilling. Most people don't reach their potential. That's just the bottom line. Most people are going to struggle. Most people will never do anything worthwhile in their lives. They're not going to write a book. They're not going to write a great piece of literature. That this cliche to talk about 15 minutes of fame, but the reality is most people won't even have that. Most people are going to live an existence of they're going to go home, they're going to work if they even have a job, go home, do whatever for entertainment, and then start the cycle all over again. So when they see a person who is not living an ordinary life, when they see a person that's living their dreams, they're gonna hate on them for it. Because they're going to be like, who's this person? And this is even in a case in a celebrity culture where most people live a secondhand life of watching what these celebrities are doing. That's because they don't have their own lives. And I'm not saying it to be mean. It's just how it is. If you see a person, and this is why I did a video. It was like the most viral video I've ever done. It's the only video I have had that's gone over 100,000 views. And I still get comments on that video to this day. When I talked about why successful black men are low key. That's because he knows some people are going to be jealous. And see, when people are jealous, they can get attacked. I know of cases. I used to work in the criminal justice system. I know of cases where people have been killed just because somebody was jealous of what they had. Somebody would try to take it. And they're going to hate that person because that person is living while the other person is being allowed to live. I want y'all to think about that. I want y'all to really think about that. That's why there's the hate. And like I said, even though I use successful black men in the title, that could be any man. That's why you get many affluent people. They will live in a gated community with very well armed security. I used to know a brother. He was a martial artist master who actually trained security at one of these gated communities. Because trust me, shit hits the fan out here. You got people in gated communities. They keep it nice and quiet, low key. You know, I visited some of them. Like I said, this is beyond race. I've visited like white families who've lived in these communities. Shit, they know because they know they can't live among their own people, let alone anybody else, because of the jealousy. Shoot, even in the hood, don't be that person who, you know, you got a windfall at work, or you even just save money, and you know what, you say to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna get me a big screen TV. Now anybody in the hood knows this. If you're gonna get something like that, you gotta move that shit under cover at night. You almost gotta do that shit like Delta Force and whatnot. Plan it out, have lookouts, have distractions, everything. Cause you move some nice shit into your place in the hood, somebody about to break in. That's real talk. Only people who go and have some nice shit in the hood is some drug dealers or something who, you know, they got everybody too scared to rob them. But they know that. That's just on a simple level. You know, you can get that. A lot of bullying is because, you know what, if you're in a poor area and you got some kid who got some like better shoes than everybody or doing well, shoot, or look like they're going to get out of there, shoot, you're going to get that hate. And shoot, that's not just poor areas. You know, people have a tendency, they both admire and they loathe people who actually doing something with their lives because they're not doing it. So they're going to get that. They're going to get that. And that's just one angle. Another thing is because people, the majority of the people are the herd. They're the masses. You know, they go along, they follow not their own path, but the path laid out by others. No different from sheep who are just grazing and they're just following along. In fact, that's how the elite see the people of the world, as sheep. If you really ask somebody why they doing something, oh, because it's the thing to do, everybody else is. And see, that's part of the hate on any successful person. Because that person is different. You know, if everybody is all of a sudden, you know, I'll give you an example, right? You get a lot of men walking around with their pants off their ass, right? Like it's normal. I've even seen some dudes who are nominally professional doing that in their casual wear, right? No joke. It ain't just a hood thing, right? You get the person who say, well, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna wear my shit like, you know, like I'm an adult. Then they looking at that person like, oh, they different. As a species, we really hate on what's different. You know, that's a big part of why, you know, there's so many anti-bullying campaigns, because who do you bully? You bully the person that's different. You know, because that person isn't part of the herd. You know, they not part of the hive. You know, so what they do, hey, because that person is different, shoot, they're going to jump on them. So a person who's successful, and particularly a successful black man, you know I said this covers everybody, but let's focus for a second on a successful black man. In this culture, where African Americans, despite what some people want to think, are a subculture of this dominant culture, you know, where most people think there's some type of virtue in struggle. Or, you know, they having a poverty mindset. If you get somebody with an abundance mindset who's saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to get out of this. It ain't so much that person succeeding. It's so much that person got a different mindset. People ain't going to want to deal with that. A lot of people, though, they don't respect difference. They looking for somebody who fits in. You know, that's why a woman, and this happened to me, a woman can reject a man because he don't have tattoos or he don't have earrings. Because he's going against the grain. They think something is wrong with him. You know, that's why some guys, if that woman ain't wearing some like tight hoochie shit somewhere, or she's her vibration's a little bit different, they don't know what to do with her because she's not a part of the hive. She's not doing what other women are doing. Anything that's different, that's not a part of it. Most people can't handle a difference. Most people can't. Unless they the type of person who flies above the herd. But then if you fly above the herd, shoot, you definitely different. I have a framed picture in my place, right? And I've had this for like over 20 years. And it's talking about eagles, right? Eagles, those some powerful birds, bird of prey, an apex predator. You notice you never see a flock of eagles. Think about that. You never see a flock of eagles. You only find them one at a time. At best, maybe two at a time. If you want to see a group, maybe find an eagle's nest and you got some baby eagles in there. Otherwise, you have never in your life seen a flock of eagles fly anywhere because they're above the herd. And sometimes they bold enough, they'll attack the herd. But they're different. And see, we live in a culture that tries to force people to be a part of the herd. You live in a culture where their fashion choices are dictated by some people they've never seen. You got people wearing clothes because certain styles and stuff because somebody else did. Everybody else do it. It's the in thing. Instead of maybe just wearing that stuff that might be 2 years old and stuff because it's still comfortable, it's still good, and it fits you. We live in a culture that inspires conformity. That's why some of these stores look the same. That's why you have so many franchises. So anybody who goes against that is immediately looked at as almost a threat to the social order, to their moral order programming. For those who don't remember that term, moral order programming is how in your mind you think things should be. Like if you see a very short man with a very tall woman and they holding hands, your moral programming immediately says there's something wrong with that picture, regardless of how happy they are. That's just how, ultimately, who cares if they're happy with each other? But your moral order programming will say something is wrong with that. So sometimes when you see a successful man, especially a black man, right? Especially a black man who, instead of being in school, wants to play I don't know, be on that ignorant shit, actually wants to learn something, actually wants to do something with their lives. People going to think, what's wrong with him? He's not like the rest of us. And that's in any community, anybody who stands out. People got a problem with it. Sometimes the standing out could be just physical attractiveness. Let's be real. The number of men and women who are just so physically attractive, who would be so physically attractive that virtually anyone who sees them will find them thus. Shoot, they get picked on. A lot of people are bullied because of their looks. Because they not average like everybody else around them. So, without getting too much into it, why the hate on successful black men? Jealousy, and they're different. And it's really just some base shit. That's it. It's just some base ass shit. People are like that. Personally, I've experienced some stuff like that. Only reason people don't get in my face though, because Rom like to hit the weights. So anyway, I know what it is. It's some base stuff. Ain't no. Some people try to say, it's white supremacy or something like that. Nah, people are just like that because then plenty of whites could attest to the same thing. So it's just human nature. Human nature. That person, it's human nature to look down upon that person who's different in any way. And the people in this world who really going for success, they're very different. Or the person who is really showing some real intellect, they're different. And people have a problem with it. So anyway, right. That's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.